You accomplished something that I don't think a lot of people have. Well, not everyone has given you as much credit as I think you deserve when you went from coaching MMA to all of a sudden coaching one of the biggest boxing matches in the world, right? and I don't think you've coached. I think you've cornered a few striking matches, obviously, but not a boxing match at that level. So.
I actually hadn't. Yeah. It was my first time ever being involved in a striking
just boxing.
only.
Oh, you'd not done kickboxing?
I'd never done a kickboxing fight.
It's even
an
more
amateur
impressive.
boxing fight.
Wow, okay. So what did you do for that fight? I mean, obviously you brought in other people to help, but you were still the main coach for that whole fight. You were the main trainer for that fight.
Yeah,
so what did you do mentally for that?
I just tried to make the most of the limited time. I think we signed for that fight. They were flirting with each other online for almost a year, but we didn't actually start training for or get serious about it until 10 weeks out. So
just short.
Yeah,
it's very short.
To face someone who is 30 years of super high level, pure boxing training to 10 weeks out be told, okay, get me a boxing ring because we're doing a boxing contest. It was literally over a weekend we formed a boxing gym. I'd never had a boxing gym, and I put together a boxing gym. And then for those 10 weeks, we tried to find areas that maybe would be we could play with weaknesses. Try to go fight a little bit in the clinch and use some techniques, arm drags and stuff like that. Some of it paid off, some of it didn't.
It was cool to see.
Right? Yeah. We got to the back a few times and the referee was stopping it pretty quickly. We thought we might be able to get off more shots there, or at least try to catch him as he turned back to faces. Put it this way, we knew we weren't going to 10 weeks out say, okay, let's just go classical boxing training for 10 weeks and try to outbox the guy. Right. The guy's doing it his whole life. It would be as silly as if it was the other way around and Floyd going, okay, it's an MMA fight, I'm going to take him down, I'm going to pass his guard, and I'm going to choke him. Right. And that's what I'm going to do 10 weeks of. Of course he wouldn't. He would just keep doing what he's doing and try to learn a little bit of takedown defense. Right. So we were going with our striking training we always did and see if there were some areas that we could expose. But I didn't see the point in just trying to box for 10 weeks and people saying, bring in insert famous boxing coach's name for that 10 weeks. For what? What's he going to do in 10 weeks? Right. Show us a jab, show us a certain combination. Right. We didn't have the time for that. So we tried to make as much out as we could and enjoy it as well. There was a certain amount of theatrics involved, and it was an unusual experience for me to be at one of the most anticipated and watched boxing contests ever. So to have had any involvement in it at all was it's one of those stories that in a decade's time or 2 decades time we'll still have a giggle about it. And as I walked into the gym, it was funny, where we are now, there was a photo of the fight and it still caught my eye and I was like, oh yeah, we did that. We had a boxing contest with Floyd Mayweather.
It's a little boxing
it's just a bizarre statement.
Yeah.
A really bizarre statement, but that's somewhat over the years when dealing with Conor, you kind of just get used to bizarre stuff happening.
Yeah.